I'm like there. Well, that was very direct. Like that. Whoa, that was a little bit too direct. If I was the guy, I would have been like legit weirded out and a little bit creeped out. All right, so I've been in Europe now for about a week, and I had some time to reflect on my experience in Brazil compared to my expectations prior to going there. And I gotta be completely honest, apart from basic geography, I didn't know much. The only associations that came to mind when I heard Brazil, first thing, Brazilian curves, the booty, then soccer, volleyball, that statue of Jesus in Rio, carnivals, and that Brazilians are nice people. And for some reason, the week prior to leaving home, I started imagining Sao Paulo specifically as this dirty, underdeveloped, poor, smelly, dark, dangerous place. I wouldn't call it shock, but my first pleasant surprise that was not the case. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of places in Brazil and even in Sao Paulo in general that it's just messed up, and it's the situation there is very, very bad. But there are also places where you're gonna be completely fine, everything's gonna be awesome, you're not gonna be missing anything, and you're gonna get the same feel that you get in almost any major European town. Yeah, it's actually a nice place. Until my last day, I kept being surprised how amazing the place is. So again, depends where you go. Let's talk about Brazilians. My expectation was that they're going to be this like very mixed, tan, exotic type of people with nice curves, lean, ripped, at least the guys, which is not exactly the case. I'm gonna make some couple of generalizations, but keep in mind that everybody in Brazil has mixed blood, so it's very hard to group people. But generally speaking, you can group them into people with lighter or white skin, which are people from mostly European background, the vast majority being Portugal, also some from Spain and some from Italy. The biggest difference there is that they are shorter and more tanned, and obviously they dress in a different way. But yeah, there were some places where I just felt like I was in Europe. I would look around and I'm like, man, I'm not able to tell you if I'm in Portugal or if I'm in Brazil. I just got the same feeling. People look the same. There are a lot of people from German and Polish background, but they're mostly in the north. Although in general, it's very rare to see tall, blonde, blue eyes. You have people with darker skin that are usually from Africa background or mixed. They are different for sure than what I've seen in, let's say, the UK or France. I think that's mostly because they probably came from different parts of Africa, and because of there was a lot more mixing. They have more of a narrow features. The skin tone is different, but that's probably because of a lot of mixing. And the hair is sort of different as well. Funny thing is that some mixed people, they look like Indians. Sometimes I was confused, like, man, like you look totally Indian. Like, that's super strange. Although if you're Indian, you're probably not gonna feel the same way. But yeah, you can usually tell by the hair. It's more afro for sure, and the nose is more narrow. Then you have people from indigenous people. I didn't see a lot of them. It's super rare, and I think you mostly have them close to the Amazon forest, those regions. In Sao Paulo, I've only seen like just a few of them, and it's usually mixed. It's almost never like full indigenous. You also have Asians as well, full of Japanese in Sao Paulo, some Korean, some Chinese as well. Again, the biggest difference, and you're gonna see a trend here, shorter, more tanned. Mostly because if you're from an affluent family, you have access to better food and better healthcare, so you tend to grow taller. Whereas most people are shorter because the situation in Brazil is not exactly great in a lot of places. So now let's talk about, let's call it relationships, which I find that was the most unique part of the country. Most of what I'm going to say is based on observation and what I've been told. It's not based on personal experience. So my information could be totally off. So friendships, people are super nice, super friendly. I found that it's really easy to make friends there, and they're generally helpful and I would say loyal friends. I didn't have any bad experience with people, just on a friendly basis, meeting people, befriending them. Yeah, it was amazing. Like they make them awesome friends. That's how I can summarize it. Dating and hookups and like marriage and relationships, this I feel was very different. I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. First example, I was at a bar slash club and I was paying attention of how people interact, like how they actually hook up and what happens. Do they go home together? This guy, like I saw him like talking to a couple of girls and then they start making out, they get physical. I'm like, man, it's pretty early, but yeah, good for you, man. Good for you. And then 10 minutes later, I see him with a different girl, also making out, also, something's going on. 6 or 7 different girls. I paid attention to the girls and they were also sort of doing the same thing. Whereas I remember seeing this girl, she was dancing with a guy. She actually got him to the dance floor. She initiated like the whole thing. They got to the dance floor, they were dancing, they were kissing, very physical. And then half an hour later, she's with a different guy doing the same thing. For Brazilians, like kissing, making out, and physicality, it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean anything. Whereas for me, the way I feel about physicality, and especially making out with people, it's more of a special treat. It has more of a meaning behind it, and it's sort of a game on its own. Like you get there slowly. More of this special treat, special dessert that your grandma makes for you for a special occasion. But in Brazil, it's more like, I can have this dessert every day because I enjoy it. It's not a big deal. I'm just gonna have it every time for breakfast. Here's a different situation. I was at a restaurant and there was this couple. I think it was their first date. So they're having a meal, they're talking, and then after 1 hour, or maybe like it was a half an hour, I'm not really sure, the girl stands up, goes to the other side, so they're facing each other, but she stands up, goes next to the guy, sits next to him, and they start making out. I'm like there, well, that was very direct, like, whoa, that was a little bit too direct. If I was the guy, I would have been like legit weirded out and a little bit creeped out. It wasn't awkward. Like you look at them, it wasn't awkward at all. It was totally normal. I think she was thinking, oh, I'm having a good time. I find him cute. Let's just go there and kiss a little bit. I just feel like doing it. There's a lot of this, casual vibe, and people are very open. They don't make a big deal out of it, and they're very direct and very physical, very fast. But when it comes to marriage and actual ongoing relationships, I think that could be a bit of a problem due to the whole like sort of a casual dating culture they have. Okay, so this is me talking to a lot of people, and I've noticed that it is not exactly rare to hear people, their parents were divorced, or maybe one person has kids from more than one person. In certain situations, more than even 2 people, which to me as someone from Eastern Europe, that was like, oh wow, that almost never happens back home. Like divorce is super rare, and for someone to have kids from more than one person, that I almost don't know anybody like this. It does happen, but it's like super rare. I don't think it's that rare in Brazil. So I think there are some commitment issues in certain situations. Something that I've heard from some people. So it's more of an assumption. But yeah, and I also think it really depends on the region and the local culture, because what I've experienced in Sao Paulo, it's obviously very different because it's a large city. So it's a different vibe than some of the other cities. Culture, some specifics about the culture. I've said this in a previous video, very warm people, very welcoming, especially if you're a foreigner. That's something that took me a while to realize, but yeah, they do treat foreigners in a better way. Apparently, Brazilians treat other Brazilians a different way, and sometimes it's not so nice. So just because people are nice to me doesn't mean that they're nice to each other all the time. They're certainly nice to each other most of the time, and I've noticed that a lot of times when they interact, they're very chatty, they're very talkative. When they have a casual conversation, they actually are really interested in the other person. They really want to know what's happening in their life, how their day was going. They're genuinely interested. But that's not always the case, and there's some segregation in terms of where you're coming from. So if you're coming from an affluent family, you may not treat people from less fortunate families, especially poor people. You may not treat them that well, depending on the social class and sometimes even the color of your skin. But I don't think there's straight out racism, at least not the same as in some other countries. And again, I haven't seen nothing of this. This is what I've been told. There are some places, especially the favelas, where life is very different. So I don't think your typical or your average Brazilian is very nice. It's just that it really depends on their upbringing, where they're coming from, and the environment that has shaped them. So yeah, there are places that are dangerous and the people may get very violent, and you may not have an awesome experience there, even as a foreigner. English. The thing that I found, how do I put this, surprising was how most people learned English. a lot of times they were self-taught. Like you talk to people and you ask them, oh, how do you learn English? And they're like, "Oh, I've been listening to a lot of like American music, or maybe I've been watching a lot of movies, and that's how I taught myself to speak English." You can teach yourself English by yourself? Oh man, that's hard. I was amazed how well people speak English. And even the accent. They do have an accent, but it's not so strong. It's not like with Spanish accent. I find them very easy to understand, even if they have like a very thick accent. I had no problems understanding people when they speak English. Partying, oh man, they love drinking, they love partying, and they drink a lot, they party a lot. They do crazy stuff for sure, but they don't get violent, at least in my experience. And for the most part, they don't really make a mess. Okay, I'm drunk, I'm having fun, I'm doing some stupid stuff, but I don't take it to an extreme. So they're fun to be around. They're fun to party with, which leads me to the next point about music. So you can find all kinds of places that play all kinds of music, and at least in Sao Paulo, but the vast majority play Brazilian music. So most of the times, if you go out with a Brazilian, they're gonna take you to a place where they play Brazilian music, mostly because they think that you want to experience more of that music and they want to show you the local culture. But sometimes it could be a little bit too much, and sometimes you just feel like listening to something that is not Brazilian, and yeah, you just always end up at a place where they play Brazilian music. They play samba or funk or some of the other styles that they have. So yeah, and everybody knows the lyrics. Everybody dances. It's insane. Like you're there at the bar. They play a song. Everybody knows the lyrics. Everybody's singing. Like wow, what am I doing here? Yeah, it's sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming for sure. Oh, the last thing that I found, I wouldn't call it surprising. I expected Brazilians to be like those crazy Latinos, being super wild, like very loud, obnoxious, but that's not the case. They're certainly louder than Europeans, but not what I was expecting. I would say they're more calm, they're more chill compared to some other Latinos that I've met, and they don't go so crazy. They still like to party, but they just don't take it to the same level as some of the other Latinos. So that's pretty much it. My summary of expectations versus reality. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, the Emperor protects. Until next time, cheers.